Hi everyone, I'm Susie, and today I'm going to go over the top 12 tips in my arsenal to getting good grades in school. There are two electronic devices that can be used to take notes today in school, the laptop and the tablet. So for tip number 1, just because you have an electronic device, use it only for note-taking in the classroom. Outside the classroom, you can use the internet or play games. Sure, lectures can get boring, but if your professor already provides your notes for you, make sure you follow along because they don't always talk verbatim, especially in college. Following along and taking notes on your device will help you to learn better. Also, within this tip is making sure your battery is fully charged or that you have access to a wall plug to plug in your device. Nothing is more frustrating than being in the middle of taking notes and your device dies. Which brings us to tip number 2. The other option to electronic devices is the old pen and paper method. This brings us to tip number 2. If you use your electronic device to take notes, it's always a good idea to have a notepad in your backpack for that just-in-case moment. I personally prefer pen and paper to electronic devices because I can scribble along with the professor and make my notes wherever. Also, I find that I retain more when I physically write than when I type. Another nice thing about pen and paper is that you can use colored pens and pencils to follow along. When I was learning about genetics, I used colored pens and pencils to illustrate my notes. This, of course, was not done in class, but was achieved when I rewrote my notes. If you choose this pen and paper route, here are some suggestions for organization. There are 3 types of pen and paper methods. There's the notepad, the spiral-bound notebook, and the bound notebook. First is the trusted notepad. To keep your subjects organized and easily accessible, color code each notepad with a strip of colored tape. In this example, I might have a notepad for English, which I use green tape for, then yellow tape on another pad for history, and finally blue tape on the last notepad for math. Just remember which color is which subject, and you'll be pulling out the correct notepad for each class with ease. If you use the spiral notepad, label the outside of the book with the subject. Most spiral notebooks come in a variety of colors. Try to pick a different color for different subjects. Try to avoid multi-subject spiral notebooks. You'll often find one subject takes more paper than the other. It's easier to stick to a single subject notebook. Use a Sharpie to label the notebook, and on dark colored notebooks, you can use a white sticker or tape a Postit note to the front. For the bound notebook, the same applies. Most bound notebooks are single subject. You can choose from a variety of styles such as blank, lined, dotted, or graphed. Whichever format you choose, label the outside of the notebook to indicate the subject. Use a different color notebook for each subject, or similar to the notepad, color tape the top of each notebook to indicate the subject. Tip number 3, note-taking. There are many different ways to take notes, and honestly, there is no wrong way. The only wrong way is the way in which you don't learn. Try different methods and find one that works best for you. You can just scribble along with your professor, print out PowerPoint notes ahead of time, use the Cornell method, or even use the mapping method. If your professor uses PowerPoints to teach and gives you the PowerPoint to follow along with, do not rely solely on the PowerPoint. Many professors in college will deviate from their notes, so listen carefully and write down important details. If something has been mentioned more than once, you should write it down, often because it is really important or it could be on a test or exam. Try not to write what the professor says verbatim. Learning this way may not be conducive to learning. It is also plagiarism. Try to sum up what the teacher says in your own words. If you don't understand a word, write it down and look it up later. You're never too old to learn new vocabulary words. When you get home, rewrite your notes. When you rewrite your notes, you can use colored pens and pencils to help illustrate your notes. You can use the bullet method too. Rewriting your notes helps to refresh the information you learned to more permanent memory. Tip number 4, taping your lectures. Most students don't do this, but as a student who has a learning disability, taping my lectures was a lifesaver. When you get into college, most colleges will offer some sort of disability services for those with learning disabilities. One of them is a note taker. For me, I enjoy taking my own notes, so I record my lectures to review later to see if I've missed anything. You can either use your laptop or tablet to record, or purchase a digital audio recorder. These recorders are not expensive, roughly around $50. It's a good investment. However, you must ask your teacher or professor if it's okay with them to record them during lecture. Do not assume that they will allow it. You can get into trouble without prior permission. Most professors will allow it, and you can ask the school administration to allow audio recording of lectures if you have documented learning disability. In this case, professors will have to let you record the lectures. Use the recording to go over your notes later. Do not post any recordings onto the internet, for this is plagiarism. Tip number 5 is your books. There are 3 kinds of books. The first is a school loaned book. This book is often given to students by the school, grades kindergarten through 12th. They are on loan. You do not own them, but you are responsible for them. Books rented off of Amazon and other book rental sites are also loaned books. The second kind of book is an owned book. These are books students purchase for their classes, usually college or university students. You own this book, therefore you can do whatever you want to the book. The third kind of book is a digital copy. These books are only accessible online. You can download them to a PDF form and print them out if you so desire. In PDF form, you have the option to make digital notes or print out individual pages. If you own your book, you can make notes in the margins, preferably with pencil, highlight important words or phrases, but I recommend that you don't highlight the entire book. You can fold the pages or even earmark the pages. If your book is on loan from the school or a rental site, you do need to protect it. Do not write in the book and do not mark it up with a highlighter. Take photos of the condition of the book when you first receive it. Use Postit Notes to make your notes. They are removable and won't cause any damage. If your loan book falls apart, fix it up the best you can and let the rental company or school know about it. Those photos you take can be evidence against being charged for any damage. Consider wrapping your book in a paper bag to keep it in good condition. This next section will cover how to paper bag wrap your book to keep it safe. This is highly recommended for loaned books of any kind. As mentioned before, the great invention of Postit Notes falls into tip number 6. Most of us have used or heard of Postit Notes. Essentially, it is a piece of paper that comes in a variety of colors and sizes, either blank or lined, that have a strip of sticky adhesive on the backside. The adhesive allows the paper to stick to most everything, but it is not permanent. Postit Notes are great for writing notes on, using as a chapter marker or a section marker, or even using it to cover your camera on your computer. Use them as reminders for things or to organize thoughts and ideas for papers and projects. Because they are not permanent, you can remove them and place them in a different spot, rearranging ideas and such. Tip number 7, YouTube. YouTube can be your best friend. There are so many videos out there about subjects. If you're not sure and Google isn't helping, YouTube it. There are many educational sites such as the Organic Chemistry Tutor, Crash Course, Khan Academy, and even TED Ed. Some teachers use YouTube videos for lectures or assignments. Note that you can print out transcripts of videos to help you study. For tip number 8, we bring up drinks and snacks. Yep, making sure that you have a drink and snack handy will help energize your brain and keep you alert while studying. It's suggested to lean toward the healthier options rather than the sodas and chips. Excessive sugars can lead to a lack of attention or even tiredness. Here are a few healthy snack alternatives and some healthy drink alternatives. Tip number 9, take frequent breaks. It is recommended that for each hour of study to take a 5 to 15-minute break. Our brains need time to refocus. This means to get up from your studies and walk around, refresh your snacks and drinks, take a power nap, or listen to music. Do not use your phone other than to make a phone call, and do not use your computer or tablet. Set an alarm clock to remind yourself every hour to take a break. Tip number 10, get a proofreader. And I don't mean a professional one. This can be a parent, your spouse, partner, sibling, friend, or another student. You can even ask the teacher in advance to help proofread your papers. Just have someone go over your paper before you turn in the final product to make sure you spelled things correctly and your grammar is okay, even to make sure that your paper reads okay. Sometimes we think that we have the best paper, but when someone else reads it, it might not make sense. Don't get upset with their criticism. Take it and run. This is the best advice I can give you when writing papers. Don't wait until the night before it is due, unless the assignment was given the day before. Give yourself a day or two to rework any revisions necessary and have them proof it several times. Don't be afraid to ask for help. College professors are very stingy and will mark down your paper for the smallest grammatical or spelling error. Tip number 11, get a study buddy or join a study group. Do not try to go to your classes alone. Peer help can be most beneficial for helping to solve problems, study for exams, or even talk about the subject with. Befriend your classmates. Look for online groups in Discord. Make use of your peers around you. Round-robin study group locations. Sometimes a new environment can make studying more interesting. Invite new people in. Sometimes a fresh mind will bring new ideas. And this brings us to tip number 12. Let the calendar be your friend. Long ago, many, many moons ago, as a child, I was expected by my teachers to keep an assignment book for my classes. Today, it's not required, but it's a good idea. Keep a wall calendar by your study desk or keep a daily planner. Either way, the idea is to write all of your assignments on the due dates. For college students, your due dates are often given in advance in your syllabus. Write the name of your class, the name of the assignment, and then color code it. Plan out your assignments. If you are writing a paper due in a week, write down a rough draft due date 2 days before it's due. If you have 96 math problems due in 2 weeks, divide the number of problems by the number of days 1 day before the due date. So 96 problems, 13 days to get it done, is approximately 8 problems a day. This visual tracking system will help you complete assignments on time and allow you to spend the most amount of energy on your subjects as needed. So if you have a paper due in 1 week and 100 math problems due in 3 weeks, you can see that most of your attention should be given to the paper versus the math problems. Well, that's it. 12 tips and tricks to getting better grades in school. I hope these help you. Comment down below which tips you used and any other tips or tricks not on this list. Until next time, thanks for watching, and remember, study smart.